Today in the Nerdy Gritty, we talk the comics we got at Halloween Comicfest 2019.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Nerdy Gritty, where we delve deep sometimes.
Yeah. Hey, where do we go with that deep delving, though?
We go into the details of pop culture.
Of pop? Wow.
Culture that is popular.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah. My name is Fox.
Oh, and I am also Dez. Hey, Fox. We don't talk a lot of celebrity gossip on this.
Nah, but I'd love to get into it.
Yeah, that's really got to be
J-Lo just did.
No, but I know about J-Pad.
Who's Who?
Jared Palicki, the star of Supernatural.
Yeah, one of the stars
of Supernatural. Yeah.
Was he also the one that was on Gilmore Girls?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So,
but with the name of his co-star from.
He was recently in the news for his arrest.
Oh.
Yeah.
What did he get arrested for?
Punching a man that works for him in front of his own restaurant.
Why did he punch him?
So, we're not, like, there is no certainty on the details yet.
Yeah, this is celebrity gossip.
Right. But here's what we know. So, he went into his restaurant. He was inebriated in some way.
Okay, well, hold on. What pronouns? His own restaurant? Like Jared?
Yeah, he owns a bar.
He owns a bar. Okay.
He owns a bar. He goes into this bar that he owns.
Okay.
He is clearly inebriated in some way. Intoxicated, whether it be
under the
alcohol
influence of something.
or something else.
Sure.
Just there's a video, and
great.
He's difficult. It seems difficult for him to be standing still. And
we've all been there.
And there's a point
I'm there right now
in which, because you're sitting.
Yeah. I can't. It's hard for me to stand because I'm sitting in.
Yeah. Chair. There's a point in which, for some reason, his own manager has to throw him out of his bar.
Wow, that is a good manager right there. That's a solid manager.
Absolutely. Yes. And so it comes to the point that he says, no, I'm not going to do it. And so he gets the bouncer. They bounce him out of the bar, and the manager's out there just kind of talking to him like, hey, you can be right. And Jared Palicki puts him in a headlock, and that's where the video starts. It looks like they're hugging each other in just like a real weird way. And you can see them like, they look like brothers that are kind of like hugging each other's heads, like in a mock fight. And they're still kind of talking to each other.
Sure, just having a conversation as bros do.
And then they kind of like shove each other away.
Oh.
I guess at some point in there were punches thrown or something like that. But the bottom line is that the police were called. And Jared Palicki, star of Supernatural,
was the longest show of all time,
was supernaturally thrown into prison.
Yeah,
for this.
I mean, after a certain amount of being on the same show for 24,000 years, you got to shake things up sometimes.
like your manager
by punching
of your
somebody.
Own store. That's what's so weird to me. That like, it came to a point that the person that he hired had to turn to him and be
that's
like,
interesting.
You got to go, dude.
But that's who you want to hire, right?
That is who you want to hire. I hope that this guy gets like
that there's reconciliation
for
that he
he's, that Jared Palicki comes back and is like, hey,
my bad.
Good job. Yeah.
And good job.
It's weird though. It's
interesting.
Just, that's my intro for today.
Okay.
That's what I got.
That's great. Good. I mean, cool. I have seen, for the first time in my life, 0 new movies this week.
You have the Regal Movie Pass, and you have not seen a single movie.
I was a little extra busy this week. We had like a big festival thing at work, church for Halloween, and just some other stuff. But I have plans. I have plans to see 5 movies this weekend.
What are you gonna see?
I'm very excited.
That's right, because your wife is out of town.
She's out of town, so I'm probably gonna go to like the downtown movie theater in Portland
and just stay there,
chill there for like a day. But I did see one movie this week that I've seen before, Avengers Endgame.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Hobbs and Shaw.
No.
You went and saw that again.
I see. Well, okay, I see that every day. Don't worry.
That's my daily view.
Yeah, no, I wake up 2.5 hours before I have to get to work, so I have plenty of time. No, I watched Avengers Endgame. This is the first time that I've seen it since it came out. I only saw it once in theaters, and man, I appreciate that movie.
It's a really good movie.
solid movie. It's got some plot holes. But they're pretty easy to get past because I'm so emotionally invested in what's happening.
Right, because the plot of it is not the important part.
It really isn't.
My wife and I started watching Raising Dion, the Netflix original show, and it's... You know how in Into the Spider-Verse, they took inner city culture and superheroism and inner city music and weaved it into this beautiful narrative that felt super smooth.
Sure, that worked really well.
Worked so well.
Yeah.
This is not that.
No.
It's trying. It's really trying, but it's trying so hard.
Trying so hard to be like, hey, look, we're cool inner city things.
So, I mean, it's about a single black mom who's raising her son, and her son turns out to have superpowers.
Okay.
And so she's trying to figure out what's going on. And it's kind of also like Fringe-esque, where it's crazy sci-fi going on at the same time. And you learn about, the storms are alive and all this other crazy stuff. But yeah.
The storms are alive with the sound of music? That's what it sounded like you were about to say.
Yes. And then she dances in circles with her arms and gets struck by lightning.
Right.
Yeah.
And then there's Nazis and
yeah.
I've been playing 2 games that are very similar, or at least they're the same category. One that we played together a little bit.
Untitled Goose Game?
Nope. Well, yes, we played that a little bit, and it's great. But Undertale.
Oh, yeah.
Undertale, roguelike. I've been playing a lot of it still.
Oh.
Yeah. Because it's an easy, just like a lot of good roguelikes, it's an easy, I'll just play around, and then, before I go to work. Or, start
not
around.
Undermine.
Undermine, not Undertale.
I'm like, that is
very
not
different.
a roguelike. What are you talking about?
It's the new update. They changed everything about it and turned it into a roguelike. No, Undermine, that we played together for a little bit. There's some of it on our channel. But it's a really good one in so much as I can just jump in,
How's that going?
Play around. What do you mean?
Are you doing well? Are you getting far?
Okay, here's what I'm saying. I played another one called Hades.
Yeah.
Which is an Epic Game Store exclusive. There was kind of a big deal. They basically announced and released it at the Video Game Awards last year.
Mm-hmm.
And it was kind of a big deal. There's a no-clip documentary
about
that. Yeah, it is fun. It's really fun. I got to the final boss in Hades, beat him, and did not feel like I need to play it anymore. Maybe if someday they're like, hey, we have a huge, it's still technically in early access. So they're still updating it. But if someday they're like, hey, we added a whole bunch to it, there's new bosses, there's new stuff, maybe I'll give it another try. But I feel like at this point, I played a bunch of it, and it was sufficiently difficult for a while. And then, it had a really good roguelike progression where I was struggling for a little while, and then I started to learn the mechanics. And okay, now I see what I need to do here. I understand these enemies. I know, okay, this is where I focus my upgrades that I get, things like that. And then I got to the final boss and beat him. I actually beat him on my first try because I the first time I ever faced him, because I understood the mechanics and had a really good build by the time I got there.
Yeah.
And that was really good. But the problem is, once I did that, I don't feel a obligation to play anymore. Which is fair. A lot of games you do that. You finish it and you're done. But a roguelike, I feel, it should have more to do once you beat the final boss. Because technically, I'll say that. I know it's not this way, but technically the whole game took me 45 minutes to beat.
Oh, I see.
If you think about it, I started it and beat it 45 minutes later. Obviously, it took me many tries to do that.
Right.
That's
just what a roguelike is.
I know. But I wish there was more content, is what I'm saying. Because if I went back to play it, I would just be doing the same thing.
That'd be tough, though, because I can't imagine a game. It's almost like the ultimate hard modes where one die, no saves, and you're done.
Sure.
And a roguelike, if you get 2 hours in and then you die and you realize, I got to start from the beginning.
Well, that's kind of how most roguelikes are. This is a roguelike. So what I want to do is kind of compare and contrast the two.
Right.
Because they both have a different mechanic.
And this is a real thing, have not played any video games this week other than our duo stuff.
Oh.
And that's no Slay of the Spire, no Bloodborne, anything. It's been a weird week for me.
Yeah.
But I think a big part of it is that I finally got the all clear from my surgeon.
Right. Your life is different now.
Yeah, I actually just did a lot of things like cleaning the house and stuff that I have not been able to do for a long time.
Yeah. Hey, guys, if you need to clean your house instead of play video games, clean your house.
Clean your house.
Clean your house.
Yes. Be a good human being.
Do that. That's more important.
But I took a break from the Dresden Files, mostly just because I don't own the books. I'm borrowing them. And I finished one book the day. I usually get it from a guy who goes to our church on Sundays, and I finished the book that I had on Sunday night. And I'm like, dang it, I got to wait a whole
another
week.
6 days now.
So I went to another reread. I picked up Ready Player One again. The book is phenomenal.
Is it?
Oh my gosh, the book is phenomenal.
Okay.
The movie is very, very little like the book. It is incredibly different from the book.
Other than like themes, I guess.
Yes,
maybe?
but what the movie did
ideas.
is it went for the heart of it, the spirit of it, and I think it captured the spirit of it well. Anything else for you?
One last thing, just a quick YouTube channel recommendation, which is, I mean, it's in its 8th season, so it's not like I'm, a little discovery. There's a YouTube channel. I don't know if it's the channel, but it's a show called Hot Ones. It's essentially a interview with celebrities kind of show, but while they're doing the interview, they eat progressively hotter hot wings. And it is hilarious to see these, celebrities kind of react in the way they do. But also the interviewer, Sean Evans, I think his name is, and his team, he has a research team. They are incredible at interviewing. Like his questions that he comes up with are both thoughtful and insightful and not something you would hear in a press junket or whatever, but also like funny.
I do have actually one more thing. I started listening to Office Ladies, the podcast, and you just mentioned YouTube channels, and it made me just this real weird piece of trivia. The creator of Drunk History, when he was younger, worked for an improv studio and got fired. The manager who fired him was Angela Kinsey.
Really?
The person who plays Angela on The Office. Yeah.
Okay, look at that.
So just a weird fun fact that I learned.
6 degrees of Angela Kinsey.
Of Angela Kinsey. Anyway, Fox, are you ready to get down to the nerdy gritty?
I am.
Version short. Ad. Yeah, before that it might have sounded kind of like this because what you just heard was the short version of our podcast. That means that our general talk beforehand is edited down. If you want to hear our director's cut, which we talk about a lot of things in extent, all the stuff that we've been up to and whatnot for a while, you can actually head over to our Patreon. That's patreon.com/dezandfox and subscribe to our second or third tier, become the second or third tier patron. All of that stuff is included with the long podcast and Patreon exclusive content and things like that is all there for you. Even at the first tier, you get all of our Patreon exclusive content like bonus episodes or early episodes, all kinds of cool things like that. But we also understand that sometimes you can't do these things. If that's the case with you, we just appreciate when you like and share and support us in whatever way you can. Thanks for listening, guys. So something that I didn't even know was a thing was Halloween Comicfest.
Halloween Comicfest. Essentially, it's free comic book day, but in the fall.
Yeah, and a lot of them have like horror theme.
Yeah, sometimes
stuff. Yeah,
mostly independent ones will do that.
And so, unfortunately, this year I was not able to go with you to the comic book shops to get these, but you picked up.
A friend and I went to 5 different shops.
Yep.
And just mostly because we're also looking for comics for our collection, but also because some shops have limits on how many books you can get of the available free comics. So I need to go everywhere to get one of everything.
Right. So
which I did.
Fox brought me back some, and I read through some, and then he has a bunch. And so we wanted to take some time to talk about. We're not going to talk about all of them.
No, there's too many to do that. There's something like 20 different options.
But we are just going to talk about ones that we wanted to note and some things here, and just basic comic book chat.
What do we find interesting?
Yeah.
Here's how I am looking at it. Just to throw this out here is. What they do, like especially for Comic Book Day and this, they're usually books that they want, like, hey, here's a preview of an ongoing series. You'll like it, so you'll start buying every issue, that kind of thing, or the graphic novel or the compilation that it's part of, or whatever.
Right.
It's not just, hey, here's a free story. It's advertising.
Yeah.
And so for me, how I look at it is, did this issue that I just read spark enough interest in me that I would continue reading this story? Was that
want to be able to get more?
Was that enough for me?
Yeah.
So that's how I'm going to be looking at it. Why don't you start us off with one though?
Well, I'm just going to be talking about interesting ones. That's all it is for me, really.
All right. Yeah, no, that's fair.
I'm going to start with one that you have on top of yours as well.
I think we crossed a few times.
A couple of them over.
Yeah.
Drifting Classroom.
Yeah.
So the Drifting Classroom is a horror manga.
Let's make sure we get out the it's by Viz Media.
Yes, by Viz Media. There are 2 different stories that are in this one.
Right.
It's both the Drifting Classroom and so it's 2, Drifting Classroom and Smash.
Yeah, they're completely separate. They're not related to each other.
Right.
The Drifting Classroom is the biggest story in it. It's Kazuo Umez.
Right, and then Smashed was Junji Ito. Yep. So they're Japanese manga.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'll ask you, why is it on top of your pile right now?
Oh, on top, not really.
Oh, okay.
It was just on that. That's not really significant. But I was not a fan.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
I read through this, and to me, the horror aspect of it again seemed so forced. Like they were really trying to make things seem scary. I felt like they were telling the story with a flashlight underneath their chin.
Yeah, I did notice that this is volume 1, chapter 3. So this is not the first issue. This is not the first part of a story. We're halfway through ish, depending on how long the actual story is. But that is even more baffling to me.
Right.
Is, okay, there's stuff I should know, huh? Right? Why don't I know that then? Give me the first part. But yeah, to me, I now it also might be a translation type thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even if it's a accurate translation, going from one language to another is inherently going to make it hit differently when you read it, not knowing what it originally was, what the author's intent was. Little biblical scholarship right there. But yeah, I found this hard to. I didn't really understand what was going on.
The art was a really old style of art, and it's kind of a preference, but also
I'm fine with the older art style.
It's flat out outdated, I think.
Yes. The art style. I mean, there were some unintentionally funny panels to me.
Yes.
This kid.
Yeah.
There's a kid who's kind of like a main. Okay, I'm gonna direct you to. I mean, you guys can't see this at home,
right.
Let's see.
Is it one panel where he kind of looks like he's trying to poop his pants or something
there's
like
one
that?
where he's like trying to mess with the TV. But then somebody comes in and he like turns his head and is looking, and he
looks like he's hissing at somebody.
Yeah, somebody walked in when and there's like unintentionally funny moments like that, but it definitely feels like a 90s anime.
Okay, so turn the page 2 pages.
Okay,
and then on the left page, bottom right hand panel where it says huff huff. To me, it looks like he's trying to poop his pants or something like. The one that was frustrating to me about this is that, and this is exclusively Drifting Classroom, by the way, not the
I don't
other
even think I read Smash.
But in the Drifting Classroom, everything was yelled. Everything has exclamation points and is in a bursting speech bubble. So whether it's huff huff that he's breathing hard, huff huff,
it's like he's yelling the words huff,
things like that, or like huh, like just the
right.
It again, that's exclamation point, bursting speech bubbles. It was just again, this one's so rough to me.
It's hard to read that for that reason, because it just feels like constant action is happening, and it's not. Some of these are literally just people standing here like they're surprised, but they're not. Like, it just felt weird.
The other one, Row Doorbell, was a little bit better to me. The story here is that there was a family that got in a car accident because there was just some biker gang that was riding around and just messing with cars. And because of that, one of the cars swerved, crashed, and mother, father, and brother died. Older brother was severely injured, and the only one who was okay was youngest daughter, who didn't go. But everybody got arrested, and leader of the gang got put on death row, and leader of the gang kept sending letters, apology letters, trying to call them, trying to contact them. Can I come and talk to you? Then leader of the biker gang gets executed, and the letters keep coming, and they get phone calls from him still asking for forgiveness and things like that. And so to me, it's a little bit more interesting of a premise. Again, the writing is just a little bit rough. I think that might be just a localization thing. This is a little bit more
to
Japanese
me,
and American,
of that.
Right? But other than that, this one was a little bit more interesting to me. But Drifting Classroom was weird.
Yeah, not my cup of tea. Whenever it's manga or anime, like it's part of me right now is that I want to find an anime or something that I really enjoy, but it's a hard sell on me.
Now and then, here and there. Now and Then, Here and There is an anime I think you'll love.
Oh, okay.
I think it's about 9 to 12 episodes long.
I like
super
that.
short, and
I mean, I'd also be down for a 900 episode, like super ridiculous.
but if you want to like get your toe in, get started, it's my all-time favorite anime. It's the themes in it are just heartbreaking but beautiful and great. Oh, it's good. It's good. Anyway,
all
right. Off topic.
I'm gonna bring up one here that I don't think you read, called Dark Red.
Nope.
Okay, this is from Aftershock Comics, or just Aftershock. I don't know if they call themselves Aftershock Comics, but written by Tim Seeley and art done by Corin Howell. This is entitled The Forgotten Man. I don't know if it's the beginning. Yeah, it's number 1. So essentially what it is Midwest America, or maybe even South, like the South of America, the Deep South, where it's a have you read or watched Suki, the vampire show that was on True Blood? You ever watched True Blood?
I've not watched True Blood.
Reminded me of that because it's the South and vampires.
Got it.
It's essentially about the main character is a vampire, we learn. And the plot isn't really super strong. It's more like introduction. I mean, it's a good first issue where it's introducing things. But it's essentially he's just rando, Joe Schmo, but he's a vampire, and there's not much to it until you get to a point where basically some thralls of another vampire attack him, or it's hard to say. Like, that's essentially what the plot of this is. I mean, he also, like, there's a girl who comes to him. She has a disease where she produces too much blood, so they basically have this like understanding. And
symbiotic relationship.
Kind of, and that was kind of interesting, but it's overtly political, which I'm okay with. I'm very okay with. I think politics are, if true art is going to reflect human experience, and politics are part of the human
I'm okay
experience.
with overtly political.
This is overtly political, and my main issue was that the main character, who, I mean, to be honest, I'm the one who in my brain I was like, this is the guy I'm supposed to like, because he was played as a very likable character at the first, just regular Joe Schmo who's kind of held down by his boss, and there's a part where he has to like race home before the sun comes up, and it's like, oh, that stupid boss, held him back for no reason, and now but then he gets home and then he's like talking to this girl after like he's done feeding, and he literally, like, it's not great writing. Let's see. I'm gonna read you a section here. Let me get it here. Why? What's wrong with cities? Girl says. A whole lot of things. Traffic, garbage, crime, pumpkin spice lattes, goat yoga, but it's more than that even. Those cities, New York, LA, Chicago, they aren't even real America. Let's see. And that's just it. I did what I had to. Like, he talking about how he's a vampire and he's killed somebody, and he's trying to say that these people are immoral, and he's like, I did it because I had to. All those city people now, they want everything given to them. They don't understand what it's to be responsible for yourself, to make what you need. And it kind of just goes on like that. And he's not portrayed like the girl character's like,
kids these days don't know what it's like to
essentially
be a real vampire.
Like this snowflake generation kind of thing, But, and then the girl character, female character, I don't remember what her name is, but she's like, you're a terrible person. Like, that's not real life. Like, she is what the audience is saying, hopefully, right there. Like, you're whatever. So he's not likable, which means then when he's attacked by other evil vampires, I'm just like, okay, now it's just bad guys fighting each other. Yeah. And I don't really have anybody to root for except for this lady that showed up, and she leaves. So I like the idea. I'm fine with it being political. It just didn't feel. It felt very stereotypical. Yeah. Of a Southern person politically, where everybody has nuance to their beliefs. Mm-hmm. Everybody has a reason for what they believe. Now, not everybody has like those biases that they know about, but they have their biases. Yeah, and so it just felt easy. It felt too easy.
I read Lady Mechanica. It's one that I've talked about before, but this year I don't know if I feel like I've read this one before, so this may be
you might have
a reprint.
What is it? Well, let me see the
cover. It says Halloween Comicfest on it.
Yeah, I think that's the one this year.
Yeah, but I think it's a reprint of Free Comic Book Day 1.
Right, because I have two different ones from Free Comic Book Day, or from.
But I just want to reiterate, it's real good.
You
man.
like it,
It's
yeah.
Joe Benitez. The writing is great. This single issue, there's no fighting. There is no nothing. It's about her trying to get away because she's mourning a friend who died, and she ends up in a small Mexican town, and it happens to be Dia de los Muertos.
Oh.
And they're talking to her about
how appropriate for Halloween comic.
Yeah, exactly. And so they're talking to her about the acceptance of death, and that it's going to be all right. And then she kind of like talks for a little bit while about her relationship with this person. You get an idea of who she is. You get an idea of her connection with this person. You want to know more about their relationship. Like, to me, this is a really, really good comic for me to be like, I want to know more about these people. And then at the end of it, there's a zombie, but that's literally the very last panel.
Sure.
Very last page is that. But other than that, the whole thing is about this character growth of Lady Mechanica. And it's gorgeous. The art is beautiful.
Yeah.
Dia de los Muertos itself is a beautiful like aesthetic.
Yeah.
And so they hit that aesthetic
in color?
really well. Yeah, it's in color.
Cool.
They hit that aesthetic really well, and it's a gorgeous comic. And it's just one that hey, if you guys ever want to buy us stuff, buy me Lady Mechanica graphic novels.
Yeah, do it.
I'm interested in it.
Real quick, who's it from? Like
Joe
publisher?
Benitez. So
Joe
it's
Benitez.
all, and it's Benitez Productions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So it's all Joe Benitez.
All right.
He's the dude for this.
Just his deal.
Yeah.
All right. I read Battle Cats.
Yeah.
Meow. That's what I assume I have to say after I say Battle Cats. Meow. Okay. I want you. This is from Mad Cave Comics. Yes. It doesn't. Oh, written by. Let me find the actual full name here. Mark London is the writer. The artist was Mauricio Villarreal, I assume.
Villarreal.
Sure. And then you got a letterer, Miguel Angel Zapata. Okay, what I want you to do is picture a generic.
Wait.
I haven't even given you. I've given you.
I gotta get in my picture
I've
space.
only given you an adjective.
I have to get in that space.
Only an adjective so far.
Okay, go.
Okay, dear Lord. A generic fantasy adventure party.
Okay,
got it?
Wait.
You got an archer
Mm-hmm.
and like a paladin type person.
Yeah, I see him.
And a standard fighter.
Okay.
And a magic user. Make them super buff cats.
Yes.
This
wait.
1 million times radder.
They already were.
That's my default for my picturing space. That's what this is. It's just standard fantasy adventure.
It's high fantasy, but they're cats.
But they're battle cats. Meow. And yeah, it's just them fighting other evil cats. And art's okay. It has a very it reminds me of the art style a little bit. Reminds me of like the She-Ra TV show, the one that's going on right now, where it's not entire like it's obviously animated, but it's not like super kids cartoony.
Mm-hmm.
There's kind of a element of more mature, and that's kind of what it looks like to me. But other than that, it's pretty generic, pretty standard fantasy,
high fantasy
and
stuff.
also all the female characters, like they're not just cats; they're anthropomorphized cats,
right?
Obviously.
Of course.
And they're very comic book
Sexualized.
stereotype. Yeah,
That's one thing that I
now
like.
all the characters are, so it's not just females, but
That I want to call back to Lady Mechanica. Lady Mechanica is obviously drawn as a beautiful woman.
yeah,
But is not sexualized at all.
right.
She's always
She
completely
has- yeah.
covered. Huge. It's really cool to see that.
What I will say is the art is cool. There's some really cool color palettes used, and character design, enemy monster design is pretty cool. But the story is as generic as can be.
This is more of just kind of like a shout out because the comic itself is silly and not great.
Sure.
But it's supposed to be that. But this is a kind of a shout out to Aspen Mascots and the Portals of Doom, written by Vince Hernandez.
Those are my favorite portals.
Illustrated by Alex Arizmendi. Colors by you. This is part comic book, part activity book for kids.
Okay.
The story is, again, it's meant to be for a 7-year-old or whatever else. It really is that. It's kind of silly.
Yeah.
It's fun. But it's all black and white.
Yeah.
And you color it. And then every once in a while, he'll be like, I need to fix this thing. And then it's help him fix the machine.
Oh, like
and it's
like,
a little activity book,
like Dora the Explorer style.
Yeah,
like,
very
interaction
much
with
so.
the audience.
And then it'll be like, oh, introduce this new character. Then you turn the page, learn more about this new character by doing this word find, and you learn all these cool things about them.
Yeah.
And so there's word finds, there's like match the pictures, there's crossword puzzles, fill in the blanks. I like this in the same way that you're a grown adult that walks into a doctor's office and there's a Time magazine and the highlights for kids next to each other, and you're like, I'm gonna do the find.
I'm
gonna
time
do the
is
picture
okay.
find.
You say out loud, well, I've already read the whole this time, like all of it. I guess I have to do the highlights.
And so you do the picture find.
You jump into it with.
I did that with this. Like I kind of breezed through the story, and I'm like, whatever to the story. But then there's one of them's like a 4-box Sudoku, and I'm like, I'm gonna do this Sudoku. I'm gonna do this Sudoku. And so I'm gonna like breeze through this word find real quick.
Yeah.
And it was fun. It was silly, and it's one that I think for your kids, absolutely.
Yeah, if you don't know, like for Comic Book Day, obviously it's like it's an advertising thing, and comic books are a monthly investment, which means the longer you would subscribe, the more money they make.
Right.
Which means at least half of the options that they send out are for kids specifically. They are all ages. And so they try hard to get your kids to want. And there's always a lot of parents bringing their kids because, hey, they're free. Why not bring my kids to get free comics?
Right.
And even if they don't start subscribing right then, it does then in the future instill a sense of, I've read comics. I liked reading that when I was younger. That's kind of how it was for me when I read Spider-Man when I was 10.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I'm going to bring up, I think we both read this last one.
Deceased. We'll do that.
Yeah, let's do that. That's my last one that I'll say, but this one you haven't read. Johnny Blaze, Ghost Rider.
I'm excited to hear about Johnny Blaze because to me, I mean, he was the first Ghost Rider, but Johnny Blaze wasn't even Ghost Rider when I got into it. It was Daniel Ketch was Ghost Rider.
Yeah, Daniel Ketch is in this, I think.
Oh, is he really?
Kind of. It's hard to remember names specifically. It's mostly Johnny Blaze. Danny Ketch is mentioned. That's what it is. There's like this whole big thing that's happening that this is kind of a part of. But anyway, this is obviously Marvel because it's Ghost Rider. Let me see if I can find the specific. While Johnny Blaze rules over hell, Danny Ketch exacts vengeance on Earth. So there are apparently two different Ghost Riders.
Interesting.
Yeah, Ghost Rider number 1 by Ed Brisson. That's with Danny Ketch. This is Johnny Blaze Ghost Rider number 1.
And he's the ruler of hell?
Yeah. So essentially, this is kind of an intro. Like, there's this whole damnation storyline where Mephisto is a big thing on Earth, as well as Doctor Strange is a big part of it. But essentially what this is, it starts with here we go. Christopher Sabella is the writer. Phil Noto is the artist. And then you got other people. So essentially what this is Johnny Blaze is cast into hell by Mephisto. And when they get there, they realize that the writer, the spirit of vengeance, has been separated from him. So they are two separate creatures or beings.
Interesting.
Right now, which is not the first time that's happened.
Oh.
Yeah, because it's the spirit of vengeance takes over Johnny Blaze.
Right.
But anyway, they're separate, and so essentially what they do is fight their way through hell, and at the end of it, he's sitting on a throne. Like, it's really, I don't really know where it's going to go. It didn't really seem like to set up a storyline. It set up a premise of he's the ruler of hell right now.
What happened to the new Ghost Rider who's driving like the sweet muscle car?
Oh, yeah.
And he's in space
Miguel,
or something like that. Yeah.
I want to say his name is or something like that. There's Cosmic. Ghost Rider's a big deal right now. He's much more popular. Like, there's a lot more storylines about him.
Ghost Rider has been was one of my favorite comic characters in the 90s.
He's one of the
Ghost
coolest,
Rider.
that's for sure. Just visually the coolest.
I have a comic where this might even be worth money because the Thing wore a mask for a while after that because of this comic. But for some reason, there was
wait, hold on. The Thing wore a mask,
like a helmet. Yes.
Oh, not to hide his identity?
No, to hide his face. Because
for
I can't remember why, but the Fantastic Four got in a fight with Spider-Man, Ghost Rider, Wolverine.
Okay.
And was it the Hulk? Maybe was the other one. I can't remember who the fourth one was.
Die pretty quickly. But...
They got rocked.
Yeah,
man. They got
Wolverine
rocked.
and the Hulk.
But at one point, Wolverine, like, they're fighting, but they all, like, they're, like, friendly because they don't want to really, really hurt each other. But at one point, Wolverine goes into, like, a huge rage
mode.
Like, his old rage. And he claws things face off.
Ah.
And everybody just freezes. They're like, oh, this went to a level we did not expect. Like, oh, my God. Oh, right,
that's Wolverine. That's what he does.
And then, but like, legit for a while in comics, I think it was, like, a year, the thing wore a helmet to I just imagine him wearing, like, a mask
to hide who he is. But he's still Big Orange Rock Man. They're like, hey, Thing, are you talking to me? Who's that? Better go clobber the whoever. Oh, dang it.
But all that to say, Ghost Rider's in it as well. And I just remember reading that, thinking to myself, why are Wolverine, the Hulk, and Spider-Man here? Ghost Rider could take on the Fast
He's an immortal being.
Yeah, he's literally immortal. You can just kill all four of them right now. Yeah.
The like one of the Ghost Riders, I guess, the one with the Hell Charger, he's a big part. Like, he is in a significant portion of War of the Realms. He's one of the strike forces. I think he goes to, like, shut down the Black Bifrost that is being used to transport the armies. So that was fun. But yeah, the book was fine. It's not a series that I'm interested in reading. I'm getting into some Marvel stuff right now. That's not what I'm going to get into.
Well, speaking of Marvel, I read Boba Fett, the comic.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah.
And this is by Greg Pak, Mark Lamming, and Niraj Menon.
Okay.
And it was... one thing I liked about it is Boba Fett is clearly the main character, but he has one line in the entire thing, and it's at the very end.
Yeah.
And at the very end, he's like, I'm not a good guy, I'm a bounty hunter. The bounty I just hunted was a good thing that I did that, but that's like pretty much it. But other than that, it was gorgeous. It was really cool to read. And it was normal. It was like the story itself was just a really simple story of him hunting a bounty.
He's a bounty hunter.
Doing his Boba Fett thing. But the art is great. And if you're a Star Wars fan, it was really cool to have Boba Fett be like this total BA bounty hunter guy. It was real good. It was good.
Speaking of Mandalorians, did you see the trailer for The Mandalorian?
Yes, and it looks good.
Yeah, it looks kind of interesting.
Good. Yeah.
I still, like, they haven't revealed whether or not it's Boba Fett. It'd be weird if it wasn't to me.
Yeah.
But looks interesting. I'll probably watch that.
Okay, so let's both talk about DC's.
This is my
and
last
then I have my last one that I have is kind of a
favorite or
my favorite. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So Deceased is, if you've ever read Marvel Zombies, it's very similar, where it's essentially, hey, there's zombies in our universe now, but it's the DC. And to me, the best part of this is the pun title. Deceased. They saw it. To me, this screams somebody thought of that and was like, okay, let's make a comic around that title. Because I found this to be super lame.
Really?
Yeah. Basically, it felt like a boomer wrote it also. It's like, these dang kids just get on their phones and turn into zombies. And that's essentially what happens, is there's the anti-life equation, and basically because of what's-his-face? Darkseid. If you're not Darkseid War was a big deal.
If you're not a DC fan, you may not know that the anti-life equation is just a thing that's been going on for a long time.
It's a thing, yeah.
It's always been a thing.
This is not canonical.
No.
But basically, the Darkseid War that was a huge deal.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially what happens is Darkseid gets sent back to Apocalypse, and he has the anti-life equation, and then Cyborg, who he kidnapped, gets infected with the anti-life equation, and then he gets sent back to Earth. And once he gets back to Earth, he interfaces with, like, networks on Earth. And now, through comic book magic, if somebody looks at their phone, they turn into a zombie. Is essentially what happens.
Right.
And to me, it was just like, this is stupid.
My least favorite part of it is when Cyborg comes back to Earth, and they have a panel that says that as soon as he returned to Earth, his system was automatically online and the anti-life equation escaped from its patient zero to the internet. Cyborg is there, and they have the Wi-Fi symbol above his head showing that he's connected to the Wi-Fi. It's literally the lines, the Wi-Fi lines. Like, yes,
you
like,
just
why
said
is that there?
You wrote that. Not, you don't
like
need to put that.
Yeah, so, yeah, it's just the symbol of Wi-Fi. How it happened was a little bit silly. It was just the whole connected to the internet. What I will say was, it was gruesome. And
sure, it's supposed to be a zombie thriller.
It was interesting seeing Red Robin and Nightwing as zombies and seeing them claw Batman's face off and things like that.
Yeah.
And to me, I liked the art in it, and it makes me curious enough to want to read the rest of it, of just how this resolves and whatnot.
I mean, it's already on, I think, issue 4 right now.
Right,
so
it's been going on for a little while.
Read it.
But the way it happens, I agree, it was real silly.
Super lame.
It was real silly.
By the way, this is written by Tom.
You got it.
Written by Tom Taylor, and the artists were Trevor Hairsine and Stefano Gaudiano and James Herron. A couple of artists, huh? Yeah. To me, it was. Also, I'm not a fan of non-canonical. Like, unless it, like, I just want everything to make sense and connect with each other. I wish more comic books in the same universe would actually make sense together.
You don't like What If?
Well, What If is clearly like this. I don't know. This to me just feels random and zombies, right? You like those? Read this book that has zombies in it now. It just felt.
That's what Marvel Zombies was.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't think Marvel Zombies is that good either. Oh. I find them to be, not because bad or good, but because I find them pointless.
Yeah, that's fair.
Not always true. There are exceptions when it's really well written, but I don't think either of those are.
All right, last one.
Yes.
Ianu, Child of Wonder. This is by Unique Studios.
Oh, yeah.
That's Youneek, Unique Studios. The creator, writer, and art director is Roye Okupe, and the illustration is by Godwin Akpan.
Okay.
It is, first of all, actually, I just want to say the art is gorgeous. It's kind of this, it's cartoony, but it looks like it's in a bit of a watercolor style.
The cover reminds me of Avatar: Last Airbender.
So the premise of the story is it's the jungles of Africa, but it's a fantasy. It's like high fantasy.
Okay.
And there are these cities that are made with these huge walls around them to kind of protect the people inside from the dangers out there. Then there are outlanders as well, of people who live outside the walls. There is a prophecy of somebody who will, become the person of wonder to be able to protect the cities.
Okay.
It happens to be an outlander.
Oh.
And so it's Ianu is this outlander. She's a young girl. She's probably, I'm going to guess, 9 years old-ish.
All right.
But it turns out that she is the child of wonder. And then there's this like inherent racism that comes from the people inside the walls to the people outside the walls.
Yeah, like a classism.
Classism. And in fact, to further emphasize the classism, there's even rings within the walls, and the closer you are to the center, the higher class you are and whatnot. So there's definitely a racial parallel into that.
Yeah.
But more than anything, it's just well written. It's fun. It's probably young adult oriented. But I'll say this, I would love for my daughter to read Ianu, this child of wonder. It is not forced. Like I talked earlier about Raising Dion, how it feels so forced. This is not that. It feels totally natural. You're in this high fantasy world, but guess what? This high fantasy world is the jungles of Africa, technically. And so, yeah, everybody's black, but that's just... That's not forced upon you or anything like that. It doesn't seem like it's made to be sending a message. It's just natural. And the whole thing is natural, and it's super cool. I remember for Free Comic Book Day, there was one that was like supposed to be in Africa, and it felt super forced, and it wasn't natural at all. This is not that.
Good.
It's really cool. It's really fun. The art is gorgeous, and you like Ianu. She's just a fun young girl. Again, I think Avatar is a very good comparison of you like these young kids and their kind of their life that's going on with them, but also there's one that is special and powerful and unique among all the rest. So I really like Ianu from Unique Studios. I really suggest that you guys go check that out.
Cool. I really love Halloween Comicfest. Basically anything like that where the comic genre is kind of in flux right now, I think.
Right.
There's people fighting like because it's going digital a little bit, although that's not going to kill the industry. But like it's this weird place where comics have always been here, and now they get this popularity because of the movies. But then that just means the big companies are the ones that are getting the business, because the big companies are the ones making the big movies too.
Right.
So it's like, cool, I want to read this Iron Man comic. No, they don't need it. And so what I really love about Halloween Comic Fest is that all these independent studios are able to get in on the action as well. And so that's mostly what I focus on. Like I have some more stuff that I'm going to be reading that is like, I've never heard of what this is, but that means I have no preconceptions of what it is. So I highly recommend Free Comic Book Day and Halloween Comic Fest. Free Comic Book Day will be the first Saturday of May. So go to freecomicbookday.com and you'll be able to find out local comic shops that are participating. Most shops do.
And that's Free Comic Book Day, not Free Comic Book Gay, like Fox just said.
Oh, we go.
That's
to
an entirely
different
day.
We go to different websites. No, freecomicbookday.com. Yeah, go check it out and get into comics. It's a good entryway.
Real good medium.
Right.
There is a comic for you.
There is.
I don't know who you are listening to this. There is a comic for you. There is. All right, guys, thank you so much for listening. If you hit up some Halloween Comic Fest stuff, let us know what you picked up. Let us know what you liked. Let us know what you thought about our recommendations. Thank you guys so much for your support. And always remember that saved games save lives.
Bye.